artificial intelligence and fundraising. What can fundraisers actually do? Hi, I'm Bill Stanczykiewicz. This is the first day from the Fundraising School, and I'm delighted to welcome Andy Price. He is the leading scout executive for Scouting Arizona. He's a veteran of the Scouting America movement and is developing practical adaptations and implementations of artificial intelligence with effective fundraising. And Andy, what a delight to have you on the Fundraising Schools podcast.
Bill, good to see you again. Thanks for inviting me.
And I just have to tell the backstory. As I've been teaching for the Fundraising School in 2025, there was Andy. And again, there was Andy. And there was Andy again. And I'm going to get a t-shirt, kind of like the rock concerts of all the cities I was in with Andy, as he's been coming to the Fundraising School to sharpen his fundraising skills. And throughout that, I observed so much of Andy's participation founded in how he's using AI in fundraising, and he and his colleagues are doing that. So, Andy, let me just take a step back. You're a veteran in our field. You've been fundraising for a long time. What was that first toe in the water with AI and fundraising where you thought, is this a novelty? No, it's something, and you started to take advantage of the technology?
Yeah, Bill, great question. And I think really the doors opened and perhaps the floodgates opened for myself and really our team here really in January. We had heard about the news reports and seen things in media and whatnot and played around with it just a little bit late last year. But we were in a training with some other Scouting America staff back in January, and someone who is really kind of expert in using AI shared with us their experiences and what they do, how they use it, and really showed us over about 45 minutes. And it was a floodgate. We all came back and immediately started using it a lot and sharing ideas and learning and talking with one another. And I would say the rate at which we are using it is probably accelerating. We use it a good bit here now.
And there are many good conversations happening in our sector about ethics and data privacy and proper procedures. And we've actually covered some of those on previous podcasts. So, Andy, what I want to ask you to focus on then is, what are you actually doing with AI to help you fundraise?
I've made a list. We're using it a whole bunch. And in fact, I used AI to create my list. And I have an account. I use ChatGPT. I have an account. It remembers most of my chats on purpose. I've used it to learn my writing style and evolve to match my writing style. So it has become more and more effective. But I literally used AI to help create this list. I said, I call AI Cassie. I've named my AI. I said, Cassie, I'm going to be appearing on a podcast and would love some assistance in building a list so that I can have at my fingertip some of the things that we're using AI for. And so it relied on our past chats to create with that. Three really quick things. And let me start by saying that generative AI of text is the way that we're using it primarily. We have played a little bit with image generation, some other things. Haven't found that to be quite as ready for prime time for our use. But creating text has been really helpful. One example, I send an email once a day to everyone who's made a contribution in the last 24 hours. I update that email once a month, and I used to write this by hand myself. I uploaded last year's 12 monthly emails into the AI tool and gave it prompting. I need to do this. I need to update it monthly. And so once a month, I go into AI, and what took me 7 or 8, 10, 15, 20 minutes takes me about 30 seconds now. And I just copy, paste, boom. One example. A second is personalized thank you letters, particularly for larger givers. I want to pull in some information about the relationship that we have with the donor. I want to pull in some nuances of their personality, their passions beyond scouting. And I can talk in a normal human voice to the chat, to the app, and give it information. And then I say, hey, let me prompt you. I need to send an email to Bill. Bill's a friend that I've met now through some trainings at IU and this and that. Here's a few things. I know he's done a little fly fishing and he's interested in basketball. And I'd like to thank him for this recent contribution that he made. And I'd like to pull in a couple of these personal things. I think I want to say something like this. What do you recommend? And 30 seconds later, I have 9 times out of 10 a beautifully written message. Sometimes I tweak it just a little bit to make it a little bit more my own, but it's really quite easy. Third example is improving the tone and clarity of emails. One of the things I've learned about myself is sometimes the tone in email, which many of us are aware that tone is difficult to convey in email, doesn't communicate quite like I want. And I've been able to use AI to help me tweak some slight wording so that the tone matches my intentions with emails. And so 3 quick examples that are saving me tens of minutes every day that gives me time to focus on other projects.
All right. Have to start out by asking, why Cassie?
Well, that's a funny question. We started using it so much in our staff. I was traveling back from an IU training on a plane, downloaded a show from Netflix called Cassandra. It's a story, I think it's a German with American English subtitles, story of a family that buys a home that was built in the early 70s with sort of obviously fiction, an early version of home AI, home automation. Her name is Cassandra. It turns into a bit of a thriller, perhaps horror type show over 6 episodes. That was on my mind when somebody said, we need a name. And I said, I have the name. She's Cassie.
And there you go. Thanks to Netflix and that influence. When you talk about helping you write those daily emails and send those daily emails to donors and the thank you letters and helping you with tone on the email, were those skills taught to you specifically at that Scouting America session? Or have you just kind of gone in and, for lack of a better term, played with it, experimented with it, and as you learned how to sharpen your prompts to get what you were needing?
I would say that the training we received was really the main takeaway we got, really 2. One was showing us what it could do. And the second was the importance of the prompting. And the prompting really is critical for success. Over time, if you tell it to, it will remember and learn from your interactions. But giving it plenty of information, sometimes the prompting is longer than the actual draft message I may send. That will allow the tool to much more quickly get to what you want. So that prompting is so important, very specific. I want you to interact with me like a long-term expert in fundraising who is knowledgeable of fundraising research and who has taught and can provide great feedback to me as a younger fundraiser. Interact with me in this way, and here's the specific thing I need information on, right? Giving it just really broad information, specific information, it increases the quality of the results tremendously, and it gets you to the final product much more quickly as well.
And as you said, since you have an account, all of this is saved. The ChatGPT is building an Andy persona and remembering all of these things. And I would think there'd be even more time efficiencies moving forward since those previous prompts are in place, the previous responses are in place, and a similar prompt in the future maybe can be done even faster.
You're absolutely right. Early on, it would interject the word kindly into a number of the emails it wrote for me. Kindly is not a word I often use in my writing style. And initially, there was some learning on my side as well. I would copy, paste into Word, into Outlook, and then go back in and manually change things until I had the aha moment. Cassie, I don't use the word kindly often. Please remember this as we work together on future projects. And you're absolutely right. Daily, weekly, I see increase efficiency because it's learning and remembering based on its Andy file.
All right. So in one of the courses during a break, Andy was demonstrating to colleagues in the class how he talks to Cassie to prepare to ask a donor for a gift. Andy, can you help our audience understand how you're using AI to fundraise by Cassie coaching you before a donor meeting?
Absolutely. We happened on this actually by accident and have started doing it. I was paired off in a role play with another student who was really quite new to fundraising and had a little bit of self-confidence that was growing by the moment. And I told her, I said, when you go back to where you work, you may want to partner up with a coworker, maybe your staff leader or a spouse or friend in practice. But it occurs to me, you might like to practice. Let's see if AI could help us with this. And so I grabbed my phone, opened the app, turned on the voice mode, and said, I'd like to conduct a role play with you. I would like for you to act as an experienced, many decades long career professional in fundraising, and I want you to play this role. And I created a fictitious role for the role play. And I said, can you help me with this role play? Absolutely. Let's begin. And we went back and forth. It was a great banter. And without a prompting, when we completed the role play, the AI software came back and said, Andy, you did a great job with this. I think that this, and this went very well. You might consider deepening your conversation in this area and here. And you know what? I think you missed an opportunity to ask about this. It was brilliant. And many of us may feel uncomfortable working with a coworker. We're all busy nonetheless, right? But if I can, in the privacy of my office, my home, driving to work and back, do a little practicing, what a tremendous opportunity.
Yeah, it was an absolute delight to hear that coaching from Cassie that you're demonstrating to colleagues. Andy, let me ask you this. So these are wonderful specific tools. 4 examples just right there. Can you describe for us what this means in terms of not just time saved, but mental space? You know, the fact that you have less detail to have to remember, and you have so many tasks and so many meetings and travel on behalf of Scouting America and all that you're doing. Can you just describe what using AI, and you're continuing to use it even more, and you're becoming even more efficient in developing new tools, just how this has changed your professional work, the time that's needed, and again, just kind of that brain space that you can now devote to other things?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that probably half of the specific tasks I do on a given day are now sped up by using AI. And as it continues to learn, as I've mentioned, it continues to get more and more efficient. So it frees me up from very basic level tasks, drafting an email to say thank you to donors from the prior night, to then focusing on strategy, focusing on working with our staff, volunteers, board members, and whatnot. Here's one additional specific way that it has really saved us some time. Like many nonprofit organizations, we submit a lot of grants to foundations and other funding agencies. We recognized earlier this year that so often they're asking for the same or almost the same information. This foundation may say limited to 250 words or 400 or 700, right? But what we've started doing is we're building a library of content where we answer the questions, provide the information they're asking for. So often it's background on the organization, mission, values, that. We are taking that, throwing it through AI. We're aligning it with our marketing language so that it matches the branding and the way that we talk about our programs. And we're saving that content so that we have a library. So as we work on successive grant applications, we've got this library already built out. Now we may be able to expand because this has a longer word count or a lower word count, but we have content. And then as the staff leader, I have a high confidence level that our staff is working from sort of an approved set of words, an approved wording. And one of the challenges specific in our organization is over the last couple of years, we've realized we have to change how we talk about scouting. Families of 20, 40 years ago are different than families of today. And the way that we talk to parents today about what scouting can do for their kids is different than it was decades ago. Many of us have a hard time learning new ways of speaking. Using AI and using the branding materials allows me to know that our staff are using the correct words, the proper ways to talk about what we do for the community and families.
About half the tasks in a given day now becoming more efficient and less time consuming with the use of artificial intelligence. And Andy, while we're together, you sit in the CEO seat. And so I would really be interested in your perspective on this question. You know, people wonder, then let's just put it in the context of fundraisers, am I going to lose my job because of AI? You have the authority to hire. You have the ultimate authority to hire as the CEO. You might have committees and maybe some board input and things like that, but you're the CEO. You get to do the hiring at the end of the day. And people are wondering about their jobs. Now, this is the story of technology, right? We used to have manual typewriters and now we don't. And so we don't need the manual typewriter repair person anymore and things of that nature. But what are you seeing? I mean, should fundraisers be concerned that there'll be fewer jobs in the future? Or conversely, do you think this enhances the field of fundraising and puts more emphasis on the need to have real people meeting with donors? What are you seeing?
So let me start by saying that I see AI as the continual evolution of tools. What were abacus, slide rule, calculator, word processor, computer, internet. We're now using AI. This is just the tool that has become available. So, one response to the question is if you're not going to learn how to use it, someone else will. So there could be job losses where folks, refuse to learn technology and tools that everyone else is using. That being said, I've worked in scouting for 27 years in 5 different local scout councils. We never have enough staff to do everything we need to do. So I can tell you, no, we're not going to cut staff. I would not be worried about my job. It's going to allow us to accomplish more. And I think that employees, staff will need to understand that the expectations of production will go up because you can be so much more efficient with your time. But absolutely not. I'm excited about how many more projects and tasks and things that we're going to be able to accomplish as a nonprofit organization with the limited resources that are available to us.
I love that perspective. I agree with you. I've yet to meet the nonprofit. I've been doing this work over 25 years, the last 10 here at the school, the nonprofit that says, hey, do you have more work for us to do? Because I've got people with feet up on their desk with just no work to do, said no nonprofit ever. It's just the opposite, as you said, and AI can find those time efficiencies. And Andy, from my perspective, we're still seeing donors still prefer that in-person meeting with the fundraiser. And if AI frees up more time for those in-person meetings, then so be it.
Absolutely. I enjoyed the podcast you posted a few weeks ago where one of the other guests talked about that. And I don't remember specifically the numbers, but it specifically freed them up to have more conversations and more in-depth conversations, more meaningful conversations. And quite honestly, finding the time to meet with the donors to continue to steward the relationship is one of the biggest challenges I have. And if you said, Andy, what's one of the biggest things you're able to do now because of AI? It's spend more time with donors, deepening the relationships, strengthening the relationships, which should result in continued growth of our fundraising, which allows us to be more successful in achieving our mission.
Andy Price is the CEO of Scouting America in the state of Arizona, also speaks and is consulted upon by the national organization quite often. And a delight, Andy, to have you with us. Thank you for sharing what you're doing. Hey, tell Cassie we said hello.
I'll do that, Bill. Thank you, and good to see you again.
And of course, we have a course on AI and fundraising. That is a 3-hour course offered online, very easily accessible. And we're offering that on a regular basis, as well as a certificate in digital fundraising that covers AI as well as other digital fundraising activities. And of course, these are among our more than 24 courses. They're offered in person and online. We can customize training just for you, just for your nonprofit, your region, your association, whatever works best for you in person or online. We have our quarterly webinars and of course, these weekly podcasts. All of our knowledge is gathered in our textbook, Achieving Excellence in Fundraising, the book now out in its 5th edition. Where do I find this information? Go online, go.iu.edu/TFRS for the Fundraising School. I'm grateful as always for our producers, the Emmy Award winner Mike Anthony and my colleague Jennifer Boffman, CFRM. I'm Bill Stanczykiewicz. Now you are now more fully informed on this first day from the Fundraising School.